Welcome back. It's Finance Friday, another special edition of Money Girl. This is the show where I answer your burning money questions. We love getting your questions, whether you're calling them in or sending them by email, so please keep them coming. Today's topic comes from a question from Jennifer, who says, my husband and I both purchased 20-year term life insurance policies when we were in our 20s. Now that we're in our 40s, the policies will expire soon. Can you explain our options once we no longer have those policies? Jennifer, I really appreciate your question. My husband and I recently faced a similar situation with our life policies also expiring, so I can definitely help you consider all your options. This podcast will review tips on determining if you need life insurance, and if so, how to maintain or replace your existing coverage. Welcome back, everyone. It's episode 963 of Money Girl. I really appreciate you downloading the show and spending a little bit of your precious time with me. I'm Laura Adams, an award-winning author, on-camera spokesperson, money speaker, and founder of The Money Stack. That's my Substack newsletter. You can learn more, ask your money question, and sign up for The Money Stack when you visit lauradadams.com. And you can get the newsletter for free or become a paid member with access to my live educational and Q&A events. Additionally, you can ask a money question by leaving a voicemail by calling 302-364-0308. I look forward to hearing from you and hopefully featuring your question on the show. So I'm sure most of you know what life insurance is, but let's just talk about the two main types of coverage pretty quickly. We have permanent life insurance and term life insurance. Permanent insurance is called permanent because it covers you for your entire life, and it typically builds a cash value that you can tap. Term life insurance is different, and that's going to be the focus of this podcast. Term coverage is just for a set period or term, like 10, 15, or 20 years, as in the case of Jennifer. If you die during the term while your policy is active, your beneficiary or beneficiaries receive a predetermined death benefit. It could be, just about any amount that you specify, something like $100,000, $500,000, $1 million or more. The higher your death benefit and the longer your term, the higher your premium will be for a term life policy. However, term coverage is more affordable than permanent life insurance. Other factors that determine your life insurance premiums include your age, gender, health, medical history, smoking status, and driving history. So let's say you're like Jennifer and you've got a term life policy. What is going to happen when it expires at the end of the term? Well, once your term life expires and you stop paying premiums, that's at the point where your beneficiaries are no longer eligible for the policy benefit if you die. Plus, you do not get your premiums back. However, you're still alive, so congratulations. Now, you're not entitled to receive any money back for unused life insurance unless you purchased a specific type of coverage called a return of premium or ROP policy. With an ROP life policy, you do pay higher premiums for coverage, but you get them refunded in full if you outlive the policy term. In my experience, at least a year before your term life insurance expires, your insurer typically starts reminding you about the upcoming expiration deadline. And it is a good time to consider whether you need more coverage or you just want to let your current coverage expire. With term insurance, you typically purchase it to have protection during a specific time frame, like until a child graduates from college or they reach adulthood. If you achieve that goal, then saying goodbye to a term life policy may be exactly what you planned. That could be the right thing to do. However, if you have people in your life who are financially dependent on you, such as a partner, spouse, child, or parent, you likely still need life insurance. You can also utilize life insurance in your estate planning, such as providing heirs with a benefit to cover your final expenses. Life insurance can also be an excellent way to leave a legacy to your family or to a special organization. Regardless of your reason for seeking additional life coverage, we'll review several options to consider. Be aware that you don't have to wait until a term life policy expires to compare quotes or apply for additional coverage. You can always have multiple life insurance policies that all add up to the total amount of coverage that's right for you. So first, we'll talk about converting your term life insurance. Some insurers may offer the option to convert a term life policy to a permanent policy. As I mentioned, it provides lifelong coverage and builds a cash value. When converting a policy, you typically don't have to undergo a medical exam. However, permanent policies are more expensive than term because they give you more benefits. A good reason you might consider converting a term policy to a permanent one is if your health has declined significantly since you originally purchased the policy. That would allow you to get covered at a rate based on your better health, not your current health, and that would save money. If you have dependents or outstanding financial obligations when your term life policy ends, converting it to a permanent policy ensures your loved ones are protected no matter when you die. That could be especially important if you have a special needs child or even an aging parent who depends on you and would be, hurt financially after your death. Additionally, you may find the benefits of a permanent policy, such as building cash value, attractive for retirement planning or other financial objectives. But if you don't need lifelong coverage or want to pay much higher premiums for permanent life insurance, a term policy may be best. But many insurers allow you to convert just a portion of your term policy into permanent coverage. So if you do want permanent coverage, just getting a lower amount could help reduce your premiums and, allow you to keep some amount of lifelong coverage. Permanent life insurance can be complex, with numerous options and surrender fees if you cancel it prematurely. So be sure to seek guidance from a financial professional who can help you weigh the pros and cons before buying permanent life insurance. So converting a term policy to permanent is your first option. A second option that insurers often allow is for you to extend your current term life policy. However, your premium will be higher because you're older. As you can imagine, after paying a consistently low premium for 20 years, seeing it increase substantially can cause an unpleasant surprise. For instance, let's say your premium for a 20-year, $500,000 term life policy was $100 per month starting in your 30s. It could be $300 or $400 a month if you choose to extend a policy starting in your 50s. However, the upside of extending an existing policy is that you won't have to go through underwriting or a medical exam. That could be critical if you need life insurance, but may not be insurable due to a significant decline in your health. Plus, you may be able to reduce the death benefit to make an extended policy more affordable. All right, a third option is to shop for a brand new term life policy when your existing coverage is set to expire or has already expired. For instance, if your 20-year, $1 million policy expires, you may want to purchase coverage for 15 years with a $500,000 benefit. My point is that you don't have to get the exact same coverage. You can get something completely different than you previously had. You have the flexibility to choose the provider, the amount, and the term that suits your needs. And it's really easy to shop online. You can use a site like Policy Genius where you can compare quotes and speak with a licensed insurance professional for guidance. However, obtaining new life insurance typically requires a medical exam. While there are no exam life insurance policies out there, they usually cost more than a standard policy. Additionally, as I mentioned, you're going to pay higher premiums when you're older and applying for new life insurance. You can always compare the cost of renewing a current life policy and getting a new one to see which option is better for you. But in my experience, getting a new term policy is more affordable than opting for an automatic renewal. And typically that is because you're going to go through underwriting again, you're going to get a medical exam. But, it really depends on your desired benefit, your age, and your health situation. If you're still in relatively good health, applying for a brand new life policy may give you more for your money. The bottom line is that if your term life insurance is expiring, don't assume that a new policy will be unaffordable just because you're older. Yes, it is going to be higher, but maybe it's not going to be as high as you anticipate. And it still may be worthwhile if you have loved ones who would be financially hurt after you're gone. If you're a young policyholder, or let's say you plan to buy life insurance while you're in good health, remember that you can save money by locking in a fair rate sooner rather than later. You never know what's going to happen with your health. Just remember your policy's expiration date so you have plenty of time to weigh all your insurance options. With a bit of planning, you can avoid significant life insurance rate hikes. Jennifer, only you and all the listeners can decide if you want or need to provide life insurance for dependents, business partners, charitable organizations, schools, or for your final expenses after you're gone. However, as I mentioned, if you no longer need life insurance when a policy expires, there's no need to purchase or extend coverage. Jennifer, thanks again for the question. I hope this has been helpful to really think about whether you need life insurance and some options that you might want to consider as your policies do approach that expiration date. If you're enjoying Money Girl, please take a moment to let us know you're getting value from our weekly episodes by rating and reviewing them in your podcast app. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast, and I want to thank our amazing team that works on the show. Steve Rickyberg is our audio engineer. Holly Hutchins is our director of podcast. Morgan Christensen is our advertising operations specialist. Rebecca Sebastian is our marketing and publicity manager. And Nathaniel Hoops is our marketing contractor.